what's going on is the typical Russian way of doing business. They're using about 20,000 rounds of ammunition a day, artillery ammunition a day, and their way of operating is to destroy and then just move in slowly and begin to inch their way forward.
If you had to estimate how long it would take, or it might take, the Russians to completely occupy Donetsk, what would you say?
I would say a couple of months.
That's quite a long time.
Yeah, it is. But it's a heck of a slogging match. This is the war started with an attempt to undertake a sort of maneuver warfare, what we would call in today's jargon maneuver warfare. But it's changed into attrition and very slow moving. I mean, some people have likened it to World War I. I think that's an exaggeration, to be honest. But nonetheless, what's going on is the typical Russian way of doing business. They're using about 20,000 rounds of ammunition a day, artillery ammunition a day, and their way of operating is to destroy and then just move in slowly and begin to inch their way forward, and that's what's happening. And the Ukrainians are taking serious casualties, and they have recognized the reality of that, and they are now withdrawing to take up other positions, but they're still trying to fight a dogged and determined defensive operation. And I don't think the Russians are going to give up on this till they've taken Donetsk and the whole of this region. And the question then is, what happens then? They haven't said that they're not still trying to take the whole of Ukraine. So the move up to Odessa and the north of the Black Sea is still on, I think. My sense is that they probably will be prepared to think about negotiating once they've secured the Donbas, but I may be wrong.
In terms of what's going on then in Donetsk, which is what they want to completely occupy, I think they occupy about half of it right now. You say that they're using 20,000 rounds of artillery a day. How are the Ukrainians defending themselves against that, responding to that? What do they do? What is the kind of military plan?
Well, you attempt to produce what's called counter fires. So you use your own artillery to try and take out in this case, the Russian artillery. The problem is range, and that's why the Western delivery of these new multiple launch rocket systems and so on are so important, as well as other artillery. And there are Ukrainian soldiers, as I'm sure you know, training currently in the UK on artillery systems. So you conduct counter operations, you conduct counter fires. Obviously, you protect yourself as best you can. You dig in and you try and hold the ground. And then you use things like drones to identify, find out where these positions are. So in terms of from a Ukrainian point of view, at the moment, they are certainly not as strong as the Russians in terms of artillery. So you don't have to concentrate all your artillery into one place. You can have it quite well spread out, and you can use things like drones and electronic warfare and other things to then what's called shoot and scoop. You fire your artillery in a coordinated way, and then everybody moves very quickly so that you're not hit with counter battery fire, and then you consolidate elsewhere and then continue that. But it is a dogged fight. It's a dogged business, and unfortunately, an awful lot of casualties result, both military and civilian.
Just finally, I know this question's been asked before, but I'll ask it again. I mean, was it ever a possibility or a likelihood that the allies of Ukraine could arm the Ukrainians so that they could match Russia's firepower?
Well, that is certainly the intent. I mean, my understanding from various people that I talk to is that our approach is to give them as much support as we can in order that they can defend as best they can, but with the intention that they will then have the ability to go on to offensive operations. But that won't be, I don't think, till towards the end of this year, maybe even not into next year. Offensive operations are very different to defensive operations. The maxim is that if you want to go on the attack, you need about a 3-to-1 superiority, and you need the ability to maneuver and to conduct those offensive operations in very different ways. And that's a skill that you take time to learn. So we are training some of these guys. We're trying to give them the systems to enable it. And I think that is definitely the intent of what Ukraine will want to do, and what most of the, I have to say most of the West, not all of it, because I think there is this pressure building internally to try to get Ukraine to go to the negotiating table. And that pressure will only increase once the autumn and winter arrives, obviously over the energy business, but also because of other reasons too. So yes, they will want to go on the offensive. Yes, they need the systems to be able to do that, and they need the sustainability, the logistics to do that. And it has to be said, we in the West don't have an inexhaustible supply of this stuff.
Of course, yes.
So that's the issue.